Helga from Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking. Today is another Meatless Friday, which I'm doing here during Lent. So I'm going to do a nice, satisfying French onion soup. This isn't hard. Mine is a little simpler version that doesn't take quite as long as some of the longer versions. But I think you're going to find it just as satisfying, and it's something that you can do with most of the stuff that's in your house or your pantry. I did it with mine. I didn't have to go get anything. It's all stuff that I have on hand, and I'll show you how I'm going to develop those flavors in a relatively short amount of time and show you what goes into it. So I'm going to use some sweet yellow onions, and I'm going to be using around 4 cups of beef broth, and I'm going to make that with my Better Than Bouillon beef stock, and some white wine, a pinch of sugar, some thyme, a bay leaf, a little flour, and my homemade croutons, which there'll be a video out about that. And for cheese, I'm using a baby Swiss today. But you can use, a lot of people will use Gruyere, a lot of people will use Havarti, but Swiss is also fine. And I'll show you how we're going to put this all together. Now, I am going to show you how I cut onions for this, because when you're doing them in your soup, you want them to be a certain way. Makes it easier in cooking time, that they're uniform, and also makes it nicer for actually eating. So we just cut this way and make fine slices. Like this. So you have the half moon shape, and they come together really nice, come apart really nice like this, to go in the pan to caramelize, and makes it nice for eating our soup. So I've melted my butter, and I'm getting my onions in, and we're going to start sauteing them down. It's going to take probably around 20 minutes to get these caramelized decently. Sometimes bigger batches will take even up to 40 minutes. But I'm just going to keep letting this slowly cook down and caramelize. And I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar for that caramelization too. That's especially important if you use, I'm using sweet onions. If you're not using sweet onions, you definitely want to add a little bit of sugar. And we'll just let these continue to simmer down slowly and caramelize. I'm going to throw in my thyme as that finishes caramelizing, and my bay leaf. Get these stirred in and let them release the flavors. Oh my lord, that smells good. And basically this recipe that I'm giving you today is basically just for the two of us. So if you want to make for more people, you're going to have to double up on the recipe. But this is a quick, just for us, just for two. So keep that in mind here, and I'll make sure I put that when I put the recipe in the description below. So these are pretty well caramelized where I want them. Look how beautiful they are. I wish you could smell it. It just smells wonderful. So I'm going to deglaze this now with some white wine. You want to get all those good little brown bits off the bottom. That's where all your flavor is. You can use red wine as well, or dry red wine as well. I like the dry white for this. I just think it gives it a really nice flavor. And this is actually from a local vineyard. Let's see here. Whispering Pines, Whispering Oaks. Whispering Oaks is here at Sunbury, PA. I'm going to let this reduce by half, and then I'm going to add a little bit of flour, and then we're going to add our beef stock. Now I'm going to sprinkle in a couple tablespoons of flour, and this will just get it ready to thicken up a bit for when we add our beef stock. And if you have homemade beef stock, that's awesome. If you don't, better than boiling to the rescue. And I don't have any on hand at the moment, homemade, but I'm going to be home a bit so I can make up another batch. And we're going to let this simmer. Make sure you stir and get all those bits up. We're going to bring this to a boil, and once it comes into a boil, we're going to reduce to a simmer for about 10 minutes. So this is simmered down for 10 minutes. Now we're going to ladle it into my crock, and we're going to put on the croutons and the cheese and put it under the broiler, and it'll be done. So I'm going to throw some of my homemade croutons here on top. And then I'm going to layer some Swiss cheese across the top. And I'm going to put this in the broiler, in the oven, under the broiler, until the top gets nice and bubbly. And it's out of the oven. Look at the goodness. You know what comes next. So it's out of the oven here, and we're going to give it the old taste test. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. And just give you a look here. You see the crouton and the onions and the cheese. Oh man. Mm. Mm. Oh my God, it's that good. That is so yummy. There are longer versions, but frankly, you don't need it. This has all the flavor you could ever wish for. That broth is delicious and rich, and the onions are perfect, and the homemade croutons just really set it off with that cheese. Oh my gosh, delicious. Give this a try. It's wonderful for a Meatless Friday or any time. If it wasn't for a Meatless Friday, instead of using butter, I actually would have used bacon fat, and that gives it even a little bit more dimension. Totally delicious. And it saves on using butter. So, that's my Meatless Friday. I'm also doing a baked haddock today. I actually had on my Facebook page, Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking on Facebook, I actually asked people if which they would rather see today, whether it was a French onion soup or baked haddock. And wow, you guys were like pretty split down the middle. So I did this first, and I'm doing baked haddock for dinner, and I'll film that, and that is going to be next Friday's Meatless Friday video for you. I also did the homemade croutons and breadcrumbs, and I think I'm going to put that out Sunday for a Sunday seasonings, because hey, the dish wouldn't be complete without them. So there's my cheap, easy, totally delicious pantry French onion soup. Give it a shot. Happy Meatless Friday. Like, subscribe, and join me next time here in Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking.